Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Welcome to another video. My name is Candice and this is Everything Beauty with Candice B. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you my super simple, easy, everyday makeup look. It's very minimal products that we have to use, very minimal tools that we have to use. And I'll take you through my makeup routine step by step to just get that everyday look for when you're just going out somewhere, nowhere special, but you want to look good. There's no lashes involved, just plain old mascara and a little bit of lipstick and you'll get yourself right. So just stay tuned and I'll show you step by step how I achieve this face. So today I'm going to be doing an everyday, like simple, easy look when you're just out running errands. You're not going anywhere special, but you want to look good so you're not out there looking crazy in these streets. So we're going to get started. So for my everyday look, I use the Huda Beauty Water Jelly Primer. And this one I probably wouldn't use for special occasions. I don't know why. I guess because it feels so light and watery that I don't know. I'm just weird. But this one I use for my everyday makeup. And I just spread it all over. It feels just like water. And I just make sure I spread it evenly all over my face. I try not to rub it in because primer is not a it's not a lotion. It's meant to sit on top of the face and protect your skin from the makeup that we're going to be applying today. Next, I'm going to be doing my eyebrows because I am a brows first kind of girl. And I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Powder Duo. Focus. Go. I'm using the shade Ebony. And in this little compact, it has two different colors. There's like a lighter shade and a darker shade in it. Hopefully you can tell. I don't really worry about which side I use. I just swirl it all in there. It doesn't matter to me. So I'll use my little angled brush, and this is a brush that I got from Sephora during the holidays. And it's a double-ended brush. It has a spoolie on the other end so I can brush my brows. So actually I will brush my brows quick. And I'm going to start filling them in. So the way I fill in my brows, just make sure y'all can still see me, is I start by drawing a line on the bottom of my brows, just so I have that barrier. And then I'll do a line on the top to create the outline of my brows. I don't get too technical with it because I'm going to clean it up anyway with concealer. And then I do tend to use the lighter side of the brow powder to fill in my brows because I don't want them to be so dark. And as you see, I'm starting with the tail first before I get to the front. Like the tail and the arch is what I really focus in on when I'm coloring in my brows. And then as I get to the front, I like to just use the leftover powder that I have and just sweep it over the front because I don't want the front of my brow to be so dark. So it's almost kind of ombre, and I just rub it back and forth just to make sure I'm filling in all of those empty spots in my brow. And I'll just keep brushing up. And that is that for that. You see the difference. Okay, now both of my brows are filled in. Now I am going to go in with some concealer around my brows just to make them pop a little bit. I'm not going to use too much because it is supposed to be a super easy look today. So I'm just going to go in a little bit. And I'm going to use my Fenty Pro Filter Concealer. And I am using the shade 385. And I'll just take a little bit of this, scrape some off the edges. And just underline my brows just a little bit, just so that they're clean. Again, this is supposed to be an easy everyday look, so I don't want to go in with too many different brushes. I just need it to look neat. So while that sits, I'm going to put on my foundation, and today I'm using the Sephora Best Skin Ever foundation. It's in the shade 50N. And I just put a few pumps, maybe 2 pumps, 1 pump on each cheek. I like to spread it with my fingers before I go in with my beauty blender. This foundation is a medium buildable coverage. I don't need too much because it is an everyday look. I don't mind if my imperfections peek through, like my little dark spots. That doesn't matter to me really. I just want it to be kind of evened out. So I'm using a Beauty Bakerie sponge. It's the Black Excellence sponge, and you get like 6 in a pack for 18 bucks. I love these sponges. I don't think I'll ever go back to Beauty Blender and paying $20 for just 1 sponge. I look back on those days and that was insanity. But if somebody wants to buy me one and gift me one, I will use them because they really are good. But for what I'm trying to do, I don't need a $20 sponge every day. Now I'm just rubbing in, or not rubbing in, but I'm blending in this concealer that was on my under eye and pulling it down to my eyelids because I do have that hyperpigmentation on my eyelids that I like to lighten up. And I don't think I'm going to do much for eyeshadow because it's just my little everyday quick easy look. So I won't go over with too much eyeshadow. I will put some powder on there just to set my lids because my lids are a little oily. If I just put cream on there with no powder, then it's gonna crease and it's just gonna look bad all day long. So the next step is going back to my Fenty concealer, and I'm gonna put some underneath my eyes, down the bridge of my nose, and on the center of my forehead, just in the areas where I want light to come and hit my face. Before I blend out this concealer, I like to dry it down a little bit with by using a fan. I actually got this tip from Jackie Aina. So I got this fan here. I got it off of Amazon. I think it was like 15 bucks. And it works so good. It's a rechargeable fan. You just charge it overnight and it lasts for at least a week without having to charge it all over again. Like Jackie says, letting your concealer just dry down a little bit helps with the coverage in the areas where you need it most. So once I go in with my beauty blender, the concealer won't move so much. It'll stay in the spots where I placed it and give me the coverage that I'm looking for. Okay, so only do that for about 30 seconds. I don't have all day. I want this to be quick. So now I'm going to start by blending out my chin, which I use the butt of the blender. That still has a little bit of the foundation residue on it because I don't want my chin to be so light. So I like for the foundation to mix in with the concealer on my chin. So I do use the butt of the blender. And that was quick and easy. Now I'm going to do the center of my nose, and I'll use like the tip of the beauty blender. And I just pinch it a little bit and just blend up the center of my nose. If it gets a little bit off of the center, it's fine. We're gonna go in with a little bronzer anyway, and it'll be all right. So if you let your concealer sit for way too long and it's not really blending and not budging, you can always go back in with a setting spray to help loosen up the concealer just a little bit, and it should be back blendable again. Now I'm gonna get my under eyes, and let me pull out my powder because with my under eyes, I crease really bad and I crease really fast. So as soon as I blend out my concealer, I need to go in with powder because I need to set that concealer so I don't get creasing in my eyes. So this side is blended out. I'm gonna go in right now before I blend this other side. I'm gonna go in with my powder. So I use this side for concealer. I'm gonna flip it over to the clean side, and I'm gonna be using the Charlotte Tilbury setting powder. I'm using the shade number 3 Tan. And I have the mini size because her products are a little on the pricey side. And I wasn't sure if I was gonna like this or not. So one of the things that I always do if I'm not really sure about something, I'll buy the travel size or the mini size first. And if I fall in love with it, then I will save up and splurge for the larger size, especially with her products. Her products are pretty expensive. So actually, now I did all of this talking, I need to blend again because I've already started creasing. So let me go back to the concealer side, blend that out just one more time before I set down with my powder. Okay, so now this is my powder side. I'm just gonna lay that powder on top. I love how smooth this powder goes on. I normally use a loose setting powder, but this one has been my jam for like the last week or so. It goes on so clean. I don't have to worry about brushing it off with a fluffy brush. It just goes on and it sets my eyes all day. I also like to bring the powder down some and not just keep it underneath my eye, because then I tend to see a ring later on in the day as I get a little oily. I think with setting powder too, just keep patting until you're comfortable. And then once you're comfortable, pat some more, because you want to make sure that that setting powder is really in. It's locked in all of your foundation and your concealer so that it stays all day long. So I've done my under eyes. I still need to get the center of my face, and I'm still going to use this setting powder. Center of my face still looks good, so I'm just going to take some here, go down the center of my nose, put some on my chin, and then also get my forehead. I love how it just instantly just smooths, and I feel like it just adds the filter to my face. Okay, and now I used a little bit of leftovers on the side of my nose. I didn't want it to be so light, but I do want to kind of set the foundation that I put on my nose. So I just used the leftovers of the powder on the sides of my nose. And then that way it's kind of set before I go in with the bronzer. So now I have all my highlighted areas set with foundation. I'm going to add just a quick little layer of concealer back to my lids. Blend it in again and then set with powder. I pretty much use my blender for my entire base. I don't really like to use too many different brushes. I mean, I have them, but it's just quicker to just use just this one little tool to get your whole face done. Okay, so now I'm just gonna set with my powder again, just to make sure that these lids don't start creasing and it continues to look smooth throughout the day. Now I'm just going to take the butt of the blender and just trying to blend out these lines where I put the powder. So I wanted to make sure that it's seamless and that you don't have any lines of demarcation. There's really no powder left on here. I just use this to smooth out my face. The entirety of my face. I actually can probably stop here, but as you can see, once you put on concealer and foundation, your face kind of looks flat. So now I'm just going to add a little bit of dimension back to my face. I'm not really contouring. I'm adding bronzer. So I'm going to warm up the face in the shadows of my face. So like right underneath my cheekbones and in my forehead where the light really doesn't hit. So I'm going to use, so now I have to use a brush. I could use the blender if I wanted to, but I prefer to use a brush when I'm doing bronzer. So this is a brush I have. It's a raggedy brush. I've had this girl for years. It's from BH Cosmetics. It wasn't that expensive, but you can see it's kind of like, I don't know. It's raggedy, but I love her because it has like a domed lid, and I'm sure I could find another brush, but she's been rocking with me, so I'm rolling with her. And for the bronzer I'm going to use today, because I want to keep it natural, I'm going to use the Fenty Beauty Sunstalker bronzer. And it's in the shade Coco Naughty. Ooh, that's dirty. I use her a lot, almost every day. And this one is the most natural shade for me. I do have the other two shades behind it. I have Mocha Mommy and the new one, Thick Mint. But those I'll probably use more towards the middle of summer once I start to tan a little bit more and get a little bit more color. This has been more of my winter bronzer, and as you can see, I go through her. I love her so much. She's almost done. I'm gonna have to get another one, but I'm just gonna swirl it in. And when placing my bronzer, I'm not really strategic with it. I just like to place it on my cheeks where I want it, and I start by patting first. Patting it in before I start to buff. So this one you're not gonna see too much. You're just gonna see a slight shadow on my face, which is what I like because I want it to be a natural look today. Natural, simple, easy look. So I start, just pat it in, and once I have it placed where I want it, see it? Yeah, once I have it placed where I want it, I just take my brush and buff it in. I'm pretty just wild with my blending because I'm not trying to scope my face. I'm just trying to add a little dimension. So it doesn't really matter where I place it. Now, if I was contouring, you gotta place it where you want it because then you'll be out there looking like a ghost. So now I just buff that in all around the perimeter of my face. I'm gonna get the other side and just pat, and like the way I place it right under the apple of my cheek, and it's kind of like that line to the corner of my mouth, but I don't go that far. I'll stop about right here and just pat, 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 buff, buff, buff. I'm also gonna add a little bronzer to my nose just to give my nose some definition. So I'm gonna do the bronzer for my nose, and I just use a regular eyeshadow brush. This one I got from Morphe, and it's the Morphe M505 brush, or 504. Nope, it's the M505 brush. Looks just like this, just has a domed lid, smaller brush, and I'm gonna use the exact same bronzer and just swirl it into my palette. Tap, tap to get all of that excess off, and just go down the side of my nose. So let me do it from here so you can see. So I'll just draw like a straight line down the side of my nose, draw it down, and then I will buff it in. Add a little more. I like my nose contour just to be a little more defined. So now that I have it placed, then I'll just go back and forth. This one, don't go in little circles because you'll have it everywhere. Go back and forth. Bring it up and underneath the eyebrow. And that's all you really need for as far as eyeshadow. Once you add in your mascara, you look pretty good. So now I have my nose contour, I have my face contoured. The last couple steps I'm going to do is put on some mascara, put on a simple lip gloss, and then I'm going to spray my face down, and that is it for my simple everyday face. So, okay, so I forgot one step that I like to use. It's not a mandatory step, it's optional, and I use an eyebrow gel. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Gel. I just like to set my brows in place, and sometimes when I'm putting that powder on, it gets on top of my brows and kind of messes up the definition that I gave at the beginning. So I just brush that in. It keeps my brows in place all day, and that was that. So forgot to say that. For my lips, actually no, let me do my mascara first. I am going to be using, oh here it is, the Benefit Roller Lash Mascara. I've been using this one for the last couple months. I'm ready to change to a new one. I actually get all of my mascaras during the holiday sale at Sephora because they offer like this big box with like 12 different mascaras, and it usually comes with one full-size one, which was this one. So I use this one, and then all of the minis, I just switch them out every month, and you pretty much have a year's supply of mascara just in that one little box. I don't buy mascaras really at all except for the holiday time. So be on the lookout for that when it comes back out in like November, December time frame. I'm just gonna put on my mascara, and I'll speed through this because I'm sure people already know how to use mascara. Just brush it on your eyelashes and don't stick yourself in the eye. So now for my lippy, I'm going to be using the Rihanna, or not the Rihanna, the Fenty Beauty Lip Shine Sheer Lipsticks. I'm using the shade Goji Gang. It's shade number 7. I love this shade. It's such a natural, like everyday shade, especially for women of color. And it goes on very sheer. It's more of like a lip balm. That's what it feels like to me, more than a lipstick. It gives me the slightest hint of color, and it's just natural, so natural looking, and that is my everyday look. And the very last step is to seal it all in. So once you're putting on all of those powders and those bronzers, sometimes you start to look a little ashy. Just don't worry about it, keep going, because the setting spray is what's going to pull it all together and just melt it all together and make yourself just look amazing. So today I am using the MAC Prep. I'm using the MAC Prep and Prime Fix Plus spray. I think this was a limited edition one. It's like in a rose scent. Any of the Fix Plus sprays work just as fine. So a lot of people say, or a lot of makeup artists say, when you're using setting spray, you're supposed to do it in a cross motion and then an X motion. That ain't me. I'm gonna bathe in this setting spray because I like it all over my face. I like my face to just be wet, and then I'll dry it down with my fan, and then I just like how it just melts everything together and my face looks smooth and almost pretty flawless. I'll just use my fan again just to dry everything down and set everything into place. I should have let my mascara dry first. Let's see if I can fix her. Let's go back in. If you get a little mascara on your under eye, just use your sponge with the leftover powder on it. That should clear it right up. If you need to, just put another layer and cover up that mascara. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You ain't going nowhere special today anyway. There we go. Was there anything that you weren't clear on? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's talk about it. If there's any products that I use that you also use, let's talk about it. I want to hear your thoughts on it too. And if you have any suggestions on any new products that I should be using, also let me know that. I love buying new makeup. Just give me a reason to spend my coins. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. Give me a huge thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that notification bell because I'm bringing this kind of content to you every single week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.